In the dazzling realm of show business, some celebrities have chosen to undergo dramatic transformations in pursuit of an idealized image. However, do these changes truly bring the satisfaction they seek? For some, the pursuit of perfection has led them down a path where they have become almost unrecognizable, losing not only their familiar looks, but in some cases, a sense of who they once were. Today, we delve into the stories of those stars whose cosmetic makeovers have altered them so profoundly that they are no longer the faces they once were. What are your thoughts on their decisions to undergo cosmetic surgery? We'd love to hear your opinion in the comment section below. Drop a 1 if you agree, or a 0 if you see it differently. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to show your support, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our future videos. Now, let's dive into the story. In the realm of fashion, Donatella Versace stands as the embodiment of grace and commanding glamour. Her striking facial features, platinum blonde hair, and undeniable confidence ensure that all eyes are on her wherever she goes. Donatella's radiance doesn't rely on delicate softness. Instead, her power lies in her remarkable self-assurance. Yet, as time marches on, change became unavoidable, and even her unwavering control began to encounter formidable challenges. At first, the alterations to Donatella's appearance were subtle and understated. Smoother skin, a more defined jawline, and a few cosmetic tweaks that helped preserve her iconic beauty. Yet, as time went on, these small adjustments evolved into a relentless cycle. Facelifts and Botox became essential tools in her quest for perfection. However, instead of enhancing her features, each procedure seemed to take her further from the image she once embraced. Gradually, these changes accumulated, becoming inextricable from her daily existence, and redefining not only her appearance, but also the essence of who she had been. What was once a quest for improvement has now turned into a necessary form of maintenance. The fashion industry, fixated on youth and perfection, drew Donatella into an endless struggle. Her public appearances, instead of being met with admiration, now evoke surprise as her face appears stiff and devoid of the softness it once had. The very woman who helped define beauty standards in the fashion world has, ironically, become a figure at odds with the ideals she once helped shape. The true tragedy lies not in Donatella's aging, but in the ageism that runs rampant within society. Her journey is a poignant reminder about the dangers of chasing perfection, emphasizing that we must learn to embrace and cherish natural beauty. Despite her wealth and influence, Donatella found herself ensnared by the very ideals she once championed. Her story serves as a powerful testament to the fact that no one can truly control the passage of time, especially when the pursuit of perfection becomes a relentless, unyielding goal, one that can ultimately lead to the erosion of one's identity. A wealthy New York socialite, renowned for her striking beauty and opulent lifestyle, effortlessly blended into the circles of high society. She graced the most exclusive galas, embodying a symbol of elegance, power, and refinement. In her prime, she seemed to master the delicate balance of wealth, beauty, and influence. Yet, behind the facade of glamour, a deep-seated fear began to take hold. Aging, her greatest adversary, loomed on the horizon, threatening to undo the perfection she had so carefully crafted. Those closest to her would later reveal that she became consumed by the desire to preserve her youthful appearance, willing to go to any lengths to halt the passage of time. At first, subtle cosmetic tweaks enhanced her natural beauty, but over time, these small adjustments spiraled into something far more uncontrollable. Facelifts transformed into a series of revisions, and fillers slowly altered the very structure of her face, pushing her further away from the reflection she once knew. Eye procedures, once intended to subtly enhance her gaze, ultimately transformed her expression entirely. Each intervention promised to restore youth, yet in reality they only deepened the distortion. Despite doctors' warnings to stop, some even refusing to perform further surgeries, she couldn't break free from the grip of her pursuit for perfection. What began as a desire to maintain beauty evolved into a relentless fight against time itself. She had become ensnared in an endless battle with aging, unable to stop, and in the process, she trapped herself in a cycle of self-destruction. The most troubling aspect was not merely her changing appearance, but the unsettling normalization of it. Each public appearance sent shockwaves through the public, yet the surgeries continued unabated. Her face, once a symbol of grace, grew tighter with each procedure, becoming increasingly unrecognizable, frozen in an expression that no longer held softness or warmth. The woman who had once epitomized elegance now stood as a cautionary tale, a stark reminder to those who chase beauty without truly understanding the profound consequences that such a relentless pursuit can bring. Her transformation did more than alter her appearance. It reshaped her very identity. This story transcends wealth or fashion. It serves as a poignant reminder of the price one pays when the fear of aging takes control of their life. Do you believe that when cosmetic surgery becomes too dominant a force in someone's life, it strips away their identity and natural beauty? Does this story make you reflect on whether we are sacrificing too much in our fight against aging? Comment 1 if you agree, 0 if not. Throughout her career, Meg Ryan embodied the essence of natural beauty. Her warm smile, expressive eyes, and effortless grace made her one of the most beloved and recognizable stars in cinema. Her allure wasn't in elaborate features, but in the sincerity and emotion she brought to the screen, forging a deep connection with her audience. However, when she made her return after a period of absence, the public couldn't help but be taken aback by the noticeable changes in her face. Meg Ryan's face now appears tighter and fuller. But what truly shocked the public was not the passage of time, but the near-complete disappearance of the very identity that made her so beloved. Those close to her revealed that what began as subtle touch-ups gradually spiraled into more drastic measures. Fillers and facelifts transformed her facial structure and disrupted the natural expressiveness that had once endeared her to millions. The changes, though intended to preserve her beauty, ultimately altered the essence of the face audiences had come to cherish. Repeated minor cosmetic interventions have drastically altered Meg Ryan's appearance, leading her to lose the emotional connection she had spent years building with her audience. This shift wasn't simply a sign of aging, but rather a loss of her natural identity, leaving fans unable to recognize the face they once adored. Over time, this transformation eroded the intimacy she shared with the public, distancing her from the very people who had once felt so connected to her. Meg Ryan's career didn't fade because of age, but because of the dramatic transformation in her appearance. She was no longer the woman audiences adored for her authenticity and vulnerability. In her desperate battle against time, she lost herself and in doing so became distant from the public. Hollywood thrives on emotional connection, and when that bond is severed, even the most beloved stars face challenges. Meg Ryan wasn't forgotten because of the inevitable passage of time, but because her transformation strayed too far from the image that once made her a household name. Priscilla Presley, with her smooth porcelain skin, defined features, and composed demeanor, has long been a symbol of classic beauty. She embodied not only the enduring legacy of Elvis Presley, but also an air of timeless elegance. However, in a world that relentlessly worships youth and ageless beauty, Priscilla opted for cosmetic procedures to preserve her youthful appearance. What began as a seemingly harmless attempt to maintain her vitality soon took a tragic turn. The cosmetic injections, initially believed to be safe, ultimately resulted in irreversible consequences that would alter her look forever. The fillers, once thought to be a harmless solution, caused unforeseen damage. Over time, her face began to distort, with lumps forming beneath the skin, and the natural balance of her features was disrupted. Attempts to reverse the effects only exacerbated the situation. The softness that once defined her face was replaced by tightness, and the symmetry that Priscilla had always been known for became uneven. The tragedy wasn't the desire to preserve her youth. It was the painful reality that her pursuit of beauty ended up fracturing the very essence of who she was. Priscilla's life, once synonymous with grace and elegance, has now become a cautionary tale about the dangers of relying too heavily on cosmetic procedures in an attempt to defy nature. The transformation stunned longtime fans who had witnessed her age gracefully over the years. Unlike many other celebrities who remain silent, Priscilla chose to speak out. She openly admitted that she had placed her trust in cosmetic treatments, only to regret the decision when the results were far from what she had hoped. Her honesty and vulnerability serve as a powerful reminder of the risks involved in chasing perfection. Although Priscilla's honesty was refreshing, the consequences of her decision could never be undone. Corrective surgeries stretched over many years, each one trying to reclaim what had been lost, yet none were entirely successful. The risks within the cosmetic industry are not always tied to extreme procedures. Often, they are concealed behind methods that appear safe on the surface. Priscilla's experience serves as a stark reminder that even seemingly harmless interventions can carry unforeseen, lasting consequences. Priscilla's story serves as a powerful warning about the dangers of blind trust and the lasting damage it can cause. What are your thoughts on the risks of opting for cosmetic procedures, where treatments that seem harmless can have unforeseen and permanent consequences? Should we really take a moment to reflect before altering our appearance? Comment 1 if you agree, 0 if you disagree. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us. And now, let's keep watching to see what unfolds next. Pete Burns was far from ordinary. With his androgynous beauty, sharp cheekbones, and fearless musical style, he captivated attention from the start. As the frontman of Dead or Alive, Pete didn't just embrace trends, he shattered them, defying every conventional notion of gender, beauty, and identity in music. His face became an iconic canvas, embodying boldness and creativity. Yet as time passed, his transformation ventured beyond the realm of control, becoming something that no longer aligned with the image he once proudly defined. At first, Pete Burns sought to enhance his appearance. Sharper features, fuller lips, and a more striking look were all part of his vision. What began as an effort to perfect his image quickly spiraled into an ongoing transformation. Surgery after surgery, cosmetic procedures became deeply embedded in his life. What were once subtle enhancements eventually turned into a series of interventions, each one bringing new complications that could not be avoided. The pursuit of perfection, it seemed, had no end, and with each step, the risks grew more profound. Fillers replaced his natural bone structure, and implants distorted his original facial proportions. What were intended as improvements led to devastating consequences. Infections, swelling, and nerve damage began to take their toll. Pete Burns' face was irrevocably changed, leaving him unable to recognize the reflection that once defined him. Despite repeated warnings from doctors, cosmetic intervention ceased to be a mere choice and became an obsession, a dependency that he could not break free from, further pushing him into a cycle of irreversible transformations. Year after year, the public witnessed Pete Burns' transformation, shifting from fascination to discomfort. Media headlines, once focused on his music and groundbreaking talent, increasingly turned to the shocking changes in his appearance. His face, once a symbol of bold individuality and artistic expression, had become a haunting reminder of what can happen when the quest for physical alteration surpasses personal boundaries. The attention that once centered on his creativity and career now fixated on the dramatic cosmetic procedures, overshadowing everything that had originally made him a star. Pete Burns passed away in 2016 at the age of 57, with the official cause of death being cardiac arrest. However, his legacy remains forever intertwined with the physical toll of decades of extreme cosmetic interventions. His story stands as a stark testament to how relentless pursuit of physical alteration can quietly erode not only a career, but a life. It serves as a poignant warning about the high price paid when one sacrifices their true identity in the relentless chase for perfection, reminding us that the pursuit of beauty can come at a devastating cost. Throughout her career, Tori Spelling embodied the essence of youthfulness and relatability. With her large eyes, soft features, and approachable demeanor, she effortlessly fit the mold of the girl next door on television. She wasn't intimidating, rather she was refreshingly ordinary, a quality that made it easy for the audience to connect with and love her. However, as time passed, that connection began to wane, especially as she started altering her appearance. What began with small cosmetic procedures soon led to more noticeable changes, and her face underwent a gradual transformation that shifted her public image. Under the relentless spotlight of Hollywood and constant public scrutiny, Tori Spelling began exploring cosmetic procedures at a relatively young age. Her journey of transformation began with a rhinoplasty, followed by filler injections that gradually shifted her natural balance. While each procedure on its own may have seemed minor, their cumulative effect slowly erased the natural look that had once made her so endearing to the public. With every change, the familiar face that audiences had connected with became more distant, and the warmth she once exuded began to fade. Tori's face gradually became sharper and tighter, losing the genuine, natural quality that had once made her so beloved. Her expressions, which once conveyed vulnerability and sincerity, became more restrained and distant, giving her a cold, almost impersonal demeanor. The familiar features that endeared her to the public faded, replaced by a constructed version of beauty. This transformation made it harder for the audience to recognize the girl they had once grown so fond of. Instead of admiring her performances or talent, public attention shifted to speculation about her appearance, overshadowing the very qualities that had made her a star. Cosmetic surgery gradually became a routine for Tori, something she relied on to maintain her image, rather than a bold decision with risks. Yet each procedure told a deeper story, one of losing her true identity, leading Tori to confront irreversible consequences. What do you think about how cosmetic surgery can impact a celebrity's career and emotional well-being? Comment 1 if you agree, 0 if you don't. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us. Let's keep following the next developments. At the peak of her career, Lil Kim was an icon of confidence and unapologetic boldness. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, she embodied a fierce femininity, with sharp features and an unmistakable presence that reshaped the way imagery was viewed within hip-hop culture. Her distinctive and recognizable look set her apart, ensuring she never faded into the background. However, as time passed and her appearance began to change, that very identity started to slip away, creating a disconcerting disconnect between the woman she once was and the person she had become. Lil Kim's appearance underwent a dramatic transformation. Her skin tone gradually lightened, her nose became more refined, her lips fuller, and her facial structure shifted significantly. With each public appearance, the reactions grew more astonished, not due to the passage of time, but because her face seemed increasingly unrecognizable. Even her most devoted fans were left confused. While the changes sparked intense attention and speculation, the true story lay beneath the surface, something far deeper and more unsettling, a struggle with identity that overshadowed the physical transformation itself. Lil Kim openly shared that her transformation was rooted in insecurities from her early career and emotional trauma. The relentless beauty standards set by the industry, compounded by constant comparisons, shattered her self-image. Cosmetic surgery became a way for her to regain control and seek acceptance, a way to cope with the pressure. However, these procedures never ceased. Each one intended to correct perceived flaws only led to further alterations. Over time, her face, once a striking symbol of individuality, lost its natural harmony as the surgeries continued in a never-ending pursuit of perfection. The public's reaction was harsh and unforgiving. Memes and criticism replaced admiration, and headlines shifted focus away from her immense talent to fixate solely on her appearance. Lil Kim's physical transformation became the center of skeptical and judgmental discussions, overshadowing everything she had accomplished. Once a powerful icon of rebellion, she found herself reduced to the object of cruel scrutiny, and the woman who had once commanded respect now seemed unrecognizable to the very audience that had once adored her. The powerful figure she had been was lost in a sea of judgment, making it nearly impossible to see the girl she once was. Lil Kim never needed to alter her appearance to become an icon. Her original look had already shattered every barrier in hip-hop, carving out a space for herself in a genre that had never seen someone like her. Yet the pressure to meet ever-evolving beauty standards proved stronger than the legacy she had built. Her story serves as a stark warning about the psychological cost of fame. When identity is constantly scrutinized and questioned, cosmetic surgery can become a coping mechanism, a way to survive in an unforgiving industry. But, as her transformation reveals, the ultimate price can be the loss of recognition, not just from the public, but from oneself. Tara Reid was the epitome of the carefree confidence and effortless charm that defined early 2000s Hollywood. With her radiant smile and sun-kissed skin, she exuded natural beauty and effortless glamour, becoming a beloved figure for her joyful, friendly, and approachable personality. Audiences connected with her easygoing nature, celebrating her as a symbol of youthful energy. However, this image began to crumble as Tara started altering her appearance, with cosmetic surgeries that gradually transformed not only her looks, but also her public persona, shifting the perception of who she once was. What started as a routine cosmetic procedure quickly evolved into a cautionary tale. Tara's breast augmentation and body contouring, initially intended to enhance her appearance, went awry, resulting in noticeable asymmetry and serious complications. As she sought corrective procedures, the situation only worsened. Rather than achieving the improvement she had hoped for, These interventions led to physical instability and a dramatic shift in her public image, taking her further away from the natural beauty and charm that had once made her a beloved figure. Tara's face gradually began to reflect the consequences of the surgeries. Fillers distorted her natural facial proportions, and facelifts left her expressions stiff and less expressive. Paparazzi photos only amplified the scrutiny, capturing her in unflattering angles that became iconic for all the wrong reasons. The industry took notice, and casting negotiations grew colder, as her once sought-after carefree persona was now overshadowed by a constant cloud of anxiety and speculation. What was once a symbol of natural beauty and charm had transformed into a subject of criticism and uncertainty, marking a profound shift in her public and professional life. Tara Reid's story exposes the harsh reality of cosmetic culture, where appearance is often linked to success. A single misstep can completely alter the course of a career. What may seem like harmless procedures can lead to permanent consequences, especially under the relentless scrutiny of the public eye. Should we take the time to properly assess the potential risks before making such decisions? Comment 1 if you agree, 0 if not. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us. Let's keep following the next developments. Melanie Griffith was once the embodiment of natural beauty and gentle charm. Her expressive eyes, smooth skin, and innate sensuality made her one of Hollywood's most recognizable and beloved actresses. Rather than striving for perfection, she exuded warmth and approachability, qualities that endeared her to audiences and made her unforgettable. However, as time passed, that familiar, relatable image began to fade. Cosmetic procedures gradually crept into her life, and the changes to her appearance, ones she couldn't fully control, began to shift the public's perception of her. The initial changes were subtle: skin smoothing, minor lifts, and careful filler injections. Each adjustment seemed like a small, sensible step toward maintaining her appearance. However, over time, these interventions accumulated, gradually altering the natural balance and movement of her face. The transformation didn't unfold overnight, but was a slow, gradual process. As a result, her face began to lose the openness and natural warmth that had once defined her, and in the process, she slowly began to lose the very identity that had made her so distinctive and beloved. Melanie's cheeks grew fuller, her mouth tightened, and her expressions gradually lost the natural warmth they once carried. What had once been open and inviting became constrained and stiff. Fans, longing to pinpoint the moment of change, soon realized that something essential, something that made her relatable and genuine, had disappeared. Public discussions shifted from her acting talent to her altered appearance. Rumors and speculation took the place of admiration, and interest from casting directors began to wane, creating significant challenges for her career. What had once been her greatest asset, the trust and connection with her audience, slowly faded into the background. Melanie Griffith later admitted her regret, publicly warning against excessive cosmetic intervention. She revealed that the real issues only became apparent after irreversible structural changes had already been made. Corrective measures became limited, and full restoration was impossible. What makes her case particularly notable is the normalization of these procedures. It wasn't driven by an extreme obsession with perfection, but rather by the gradual accumulation of small changes. The damage didn't occur all at once. It was the repeated, seemingly harmless adjustments that slowly altered her appearance, serving as a cautionary tale about the unforeseen consequences of cosmetic enhancements. Melanie Griffith's story serves as a poignant reminder of a subtle yet powerful danger. While cosmetic procedures are often seen as a way to maintain relevance and appeal, they can quietly erode the very essence of what once made someone unique. The face that was once adored by audiences slowly became unrecognizable, no longer reflecting the warmth and openness that had endeared her to so many. Her story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of accumulation. The idea that repeated small changes can be just as damaging as excessive alterations, silently altering both identity and career. Throughout her career, Lisa Rinna was known for her confidence and powerful presence. Her expressive face, sharp voice, and dynamic personality made her a familiar and captivating figure on television. Lisa commanded attention not just through her gestures and expressions, but also with her bold attitude. However, over time, that trademark expressiveness began to fade. Cosmetic procedures gradually became a part of her public persona, particularly affecting her lips, which had once been one of her signature features. What started as a distinctive characteristic slowly shifted, altering the very essence of her image. What began as a signature feature gradually evolved into something excessive. The accumulation of fillers and the alteration of her face's natural proportions distorted Lisa's appearance. Her lips, once a focal point for conveying emotion, became overcorrected, and her expressions grew heavier, less flexible, and increasingly unnatural. These changes didn't happen overnight. They were part of a gradual process that transformed her into someone the public no longer recognized. The very features that had once defined her charm and expressiveness became the source of confusion, altering her image in ways that made it harder for fans to connect with the person they once knew. Audiences and the public soon began to notice the changes, and a new narrative began to take shape. Rather than focusing on Lisa's talent or captivating personality, attention shifted to her appearance. Speculation and ridicule took the place of admiration, and interest from casting directors waned. In an industry that values the ability to convey emotion, the loss of expressiveness became a significant hindrance. What is particularly notable, however, is the perceived normalcy of this transformation. It was not seen as something extreme or out of the ordinary, but rather as an accepted part of maintaining relevance in an image-driven industry, despite the cost to her authentic self. Injecting too much filler not only altered Lisa's appearance, but also shifted how others perceived her. What was once seen as confidence began to be interpreted as exaggeration, and her boldness, once captivating, started to feel more like a caricature. Lisa's story reveals a hidden danger in cosmetic culture. When beauty and image maintenance become synonymous with identity, stepping back becomes a complex, almost impossible task. The body and face, over time, adapt to these interventions, gradually losing their original form, and the person who once stood out for their authenticity is left grappling with a version of themselves shaped by outside influences rather than their own natural identity. Lisa Rinna's story is not one of secrecy or denial, but a reflection on the consequences of cosmetic decisions. When aesthetic choices become too familiar, they can quietly reshape a public image into something rigid and difficult to alter. Once these changes become permanent, there's no true way to fully reverse them. What remains is the acceptance of what is left, the lasting consequences of long-term cosmetic interventions. In the end, Lisa's journey highlights the difficulty of reclaiming authenticity once the pursuit of beauty has redefined her identity in ways that cannot be undone. Thank you for watching the video until the end. I hope today's stories have given you a deeper insight into the world of cosmetic procedures and the consequences they can bring. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and share so everyone can see. Please subscribe to support the channel as it helps us bring even more interesting content your way in the future. Thank you all, and we'll see you in the next video.